Okay, so I know it's a little late, but the end of last week got a little crazy. So today is Wednesday, April the 6th, and I am doing our last carb video. And then that still gives us the 3 weeks of April to do proteins, which should be enough time to do proteins. So the last part of carbs, and I just kind of wanted to show you guys something. So this is just a macronutrient ratio that I pulled up on the internet. So this one has higher carb for bodybuilding, lower carb for fat loss, moderate carb for maintenance. And this is just one. I could tell you right now that is another group of people that would tell you that this one that's listed as lower carb for fat loss could say, higher protein for building muscle or bodybuilding. So as many of these that are out there, these ratios of how you should eat and what you should eat, is as many as you can really find. The key and really what has been my focus throughout all of this is finding out what your ratio is, because it's going to be different for everybody. So like I said, what I've found, and I've really been on this journey with you since the beginning of the year, trying to determine, because what worked for me in the last 5 years, or the last 3 years is not working for me any longer. And so I have to change something. So I'm, kind of diving into how do I have to change how I eat? What are my macronutrient ratios going to be? This last month, I'm again, for this first quarter, so January, February, and March, my goal has been to increase muscle. I haven't been wildly successful with it, but again, I've been kind of playing with my macros. So this last month, I really increased my protein to try to see if staying within the same calorie count and increasing my protein would give me the result that I wanted. Now, unfortunately, I was going to do my InBody last Thursday on the 31st at the end of the month, like I normally do. But I had a visitor that, normally during that time of the month, you don't take the InBody because it throws off your numbers. So I'm going to do it this Thursday instead, and then I'll be able to share my numbers with you, and let you know if doing that worked for me. But again, this is just taking you along my journey and how I look at it, just to give you an example of how you can do it. It's not to say that doing it the way that I'm doing it is the way to do it, because it's not. It's going to be different for every person. And so just, again, don't go by, you can find 1,000 different things on the internet that tell you like this macro or this macro, kind of combination is going to work for you. Utilize your InBody, utilize your, your diary, your food diary to determine what works based on actual results that you're getting. And that is going to give you that is literally the best piece of advice that I can give to you is, utilize those two things to really help determine what works for you. Okay. So with that, let's jump into the 3 myths that I wanted to cover today. So now keep in mind, again, I think carbs sometimes get a bad rap. Breads and grains are carbs, but keep in mind that veggies and fruits are also carbs. And myth number 1, eating carbs makes you gain weight. Not necessarily true. Not all carbs are created equal. So your simplex or your simple carbs give you direct energy. So those are the things that are easier to digest. They burn through really quickly. Those processed carbs are those that are high in sugar. It takes you longer to feel full. So typically you eat more. They typically have little vitamin or fiber content. So I typically try to go towards those complex carbs. Complex carbs, our bodies really like these. So I try to steer more towards the complex carbs. And although I can't say that I totally avoid simple carbs, I do try to steer more towards complex carbs. So that's myth number 1. Myth number 2, good sugar versus bad sugar. So sugar, again, isn't necessarily bad. You have sugar that occurs in something like a banana versus sugar that occurs in a cookie. So there's a lot of other things that are in the banana, for example, and the body gets and is able to digest. There's things like fibers, minerals, vitamins, potassium, magnesium, where in a cookie, there are a few nutrients. So the body fast tracks that sugar into your system, equaling extra calories. So again, just like not all carbs are created equal, there are good sugars and bad sugars, and they have different effects on how you digest them. Number three, high fructose corn syrup. Is it good? Is it bad? So this is a sweetener, and it's got a longer shelf life. So it's made in large quantities, and many are in packaged, what they call junk food. It is cheaper to manufacture. So because it's cheaper to manufacture and it extends the shelf life, you find it in a lot of things. It's not bad on its own, but watch out if it's packed with dense calories and low nutrients. I like to call this guilt by association. So again, keep an eye on some of those things. Look for the other nutrients and keep an eye out for those simple versus complex carbs. And then on to the next month, which is proteins. And hopefully on the next video, I'll be able to share how my staying within that same calorie count, but increasing my protein number worked during the month of March. Awesome. See you guys.